Gelsenkirchen, Germany, Christmas Eve 2025. Just past 9 in the evening. A small team in working overalls walks into a vacant storefront on Hauptstrasse. They have rented the storefront for 6 weeks under a false business name. On the other side of the back wall sits the central vault of a Sparkasse savings bank. Inside the vault, approximately 30 million euros in cash, in gold, in diamonds, in 200 safety deposit boxes belonging to the wealthiest families in the Ruhr. For the next 48 hours, while every Sparkasse employee is at home with their family, the team will drill a 60-centimeter hole through reinforced concrete and walk into that vault. They will not trigger a single alarm. They will not leave a single fingerprint. They will not appear on a single camera. By the morning of December 27th, they will be gone. 2 weeks later, the German Federal Criminal Police Office will admit in a press conference that they have no idea who did it. So how does a small crew beat Germany's largest banking network without firing a shot, without saying a word, and without anyone in Gelsenkirchen hearing the drill? To understand how it happened, you have to start with 2 simple facts about Germany at Christmas, and one wall the bank's architects had never thought to test. December 24th, 25th, and 26th are federal holidays in the Federal Republic of Germany. Banks are closed. Offices are closed. The streets in the Ruhr are emptier on Christmas Eve than at any other time of the year. The Sparkasse network is the largest in Europe. 370 individual savings banks, 50,000 cash machines. 1 in 3 Germans holds an account. On the night of December 24th, 95% of those branches are completely unstaffed. For 72 hours, the buildings sit empty. The security model relies on a single central monitoring center in Frankfurt that watches the alarm feeds from all 370 banks at once, algorithmically. There is no live human inside any branch. At Sparkasse Gelsenkirchen Buhr, the last employee leaves at 6 in the evening on the 24th. The first returns at 6:30 in the morning on the 27th. 60 hours of silence. The first loophole the crew exploited was the German Christmas itself. The window during which no human being would set foot inside the building was exactly long enough. The second loophole was something nobody at Sparkasse had updated since 1962. The Sparkasse Gelsenkirchen Buhr building was constructed in 1962, a 4-story reinforced concrete structure typical of the post-war Ruhr. The vault was placed at the geographic center of the building, surrounded on 3 sides by Sparkasse offices, and on a 4th by an adjacent retail unit that, at the time of construction, housed a barber shop. The architects specified the standard reinforced concrete of the era, 60 centimeters of poured concrete with a steel mesh skeleton. That specification was correct for 1962. What the architects did not anticipate was the diamond core drill, or the fact that 63 years later, the adjacent retail storefront would be available for rent. The vault wall facing the storefront was the same 60 centimeters of concrete, but it had no internal motion sensors, no seismic detectors, no acoustic monitoring of any kind. The reasoning, by 1962 standards, had been simple. The retail side was a public street. Public streets had foot traffic. Foot traffic had witnesses. The threat model assumed the world of 1962. Klaus Reichmann, Director of Security for the Sparkassen Finanzgruppe, in an interview with Der Spiegel in January 2026,
"The wall was specified to 1962 standards. We never updated the threat model."
The second loophole was architectural. The wall the bank trusted had been designed by people who could not have imagined the tools that would, 63 years later, be available at any industrial supply house in Europe. By October 2025, someone had walked into a real estate office 2 doors down from the bank with a fake business card and a cash deposit. November 6th, 2025. A man in a plain dark suit walks into a real estate office in Bochum, 20 minutes south of Gelsenkirchen. He gives his name as Marcus Wagner. He produces a business card, Wagner Logistic GmbH, Frankfurt. The company is real. It had been registered in the Czech Republic on October 2nd, 2025. It has a registered address. It has a registered director. The director is Marcus Wagner. The man is a phantom. The real Marcus Wagner died in 2019, and the Czech Business Registry had never updated his record. The phantom Marcus Wagner wants to rent the vacant storefront on Hauptstrasse in Gelsenkirchen, Bur. He says his logistics firm needs a temporary archive facility, 6 months, while it relocates its Frankfurt warehouse. He pays the deposit and the first 3 months' rent in cash, 1,200 euros a month, 3,600 euros across the counter. The real estate agent confirms the lease. He does not check whether Wagner Logistic GmbH has ever filed a tax return. He does not check whether the Frankfurt office actually exists. The keys to the storefront change hands on November 10th. For the next 6 weeks, a series of unmarked white vans deliver crates and boxes to the rear loading bay of the Hauptstrasse storefront. The neighbors, a flower shop, a dental practice, a Turkish bakery, see the deliveries. They assume what they have been told to assume, that an archive company is moving in. Inside the boxes is not archive material. By December 23rd, the entire operation has been positioned, supplied, and rehearsed. Every component of it has passed through legitimate German commercial transactions. There is no forgery on the lease. There is no theft of the equipment. There is no break-in anywhere. What was inside those boxes was the most expensive industrial drilling equipment Hilti AG, the Liechtenstein-based engineering firm, manufactures. The primary piece of equipment, by mid-December, sat under a tarp in the center of the storefront. It was a Hilti DD350-CA, a diamond core drill rig with a 60-centimeter bit, water-cooled, hydraulically mounted, designed to bore through reinforced concrete in commercial construction. Retail price, approximately 18,000 euros. Around the drill sat the rest of the inventory: a portable generator, a hydraulic silencing jacket lined with mass-loaded vinyl foam, a laser distance meter, an industrial wet vacuum. The drill itself was traced, after the fact, to a construction equipment auction in Zagreb, Croatia, in July 2024. The buyer was a Hungarian construction firm, dissolved 3 months later. Its registered director was, like Marcus Wagner, a phantom. The challenge the crew had to solve was not the concrete. The drill could handle the concrete. The challenge was the sound. A diamond core drill, in operation through reinforced concrete, produces between 95 and 110 decibels of continuous noise across 12 to 14 hours. That is, by industrial standards, the noise of a chainsaw runs 6 feet from a human ear, without interruption, through an entire workday. There was no way to make the drill silent. What the crew had done in the weeks leading up to Christmas Eve was something more subtle. They had checked the construction permits the city of Gelsenkirchen had issued for December. 2 streets over, a renovation project had been scheduled to run through the holiday. A different street's water main was being replaced. And on Christmas Eve, every fireworks shop in Germany sold its product to the public. The drill noise the crew was about to generate would be, by the perception of every neighbor on Hauptstrasse, identical to the noise of urban Germany at Christmas. Ordinary, expected, ignored. On December 24th, 2025, at exactly 9:12 in the evening, the drill turned on. For the first 3 hours, the diamond bit cut slowly through the outer 20 centimeters of concrete. 2 men monitored the laser meter. 2 handled the water cooling and the slurry vacuum. A 5th sat with a laptop watching the Sparkasse alarm feed. There was nothing on the feed. The Frankfurt monitoring algorithms were not designed to recognize a sound from outside a vault. By 6 in the morning of December 25th, The drill had passed 25 centimeters and was approaching the steel reinforcement. The crew switched for the next 8 hours from drilling to manual cutting through rebar with a torch. By 11 that evening, 26 hours into the operation, the bit broke through the inner face of the vault wall. The hole was 60 centimeters in diameter, just wide enough for a man. At midnight on December 26th, the first member of the crew climbed through. The vault was room temperature. The single passive temperature sensor mounted near the ceiling registered an 18-degree environment. The Frankfurt monitoring algorithm classified the reading as a minor HVAC fluctuation and did not flag the data. For the next 22 hours, the crew worked the vault. They opened the bank's cash drawer first, approximately 8 million euros in mixed euro notes, ready for the post-Christmas reopening. They moved it through the hole into canvas duffel bags. Then they began on the safety deposit boxes, 214 of them. Each box was lifted from its socket using a small hydraulic press the crew had brought through the hole on a wheeled cart. The press was quieter than the drill had been. Each box took approximately 5 minutes. What came out of those boxes was a private inventory of the wealth of the Ruhr. Gold ingots stamped with the seals of long-closed European foundries, diamonds in folded squares of black velvet, American dollar cash that, by the size of the bundles, had never been declared to any German tax authority, bonds, stock certificates, letters, photographs, wills. The contents of one box, by an account the owner gave anonymously to a Frankfurt newspaper 3 weeks later, included a Patek Philippe wristwatch made in 1947, a set of unbound personal letters from the late grandfather of the box's owner, and approximately $400,000 in cash. The watch was found 3 months later in an Antwerp pawn shop. It was returned. The cash was not. The letters were not. By 11:30 on the night of December 26th, the crew was finished. At 2 in the morning of December 27th, the team disassembled the drill, packed the storefront, and left in 3 separate vehicles. 48 hours and 50 minutes after the drill had first engaged the wall, the crew was gone. At 7:30 on the morning of December 27th, the cleaning lady opened the front door of the Sparkasse and went to make herself a cup of coffee. Brigitte Holzmann was 58 years old. She had cleaned the Sparkasse Gelsenkirchen Buer branch every weekday morning for 16 years. She knew the layout of the building better than most of the staff. She came in through the service entrance at 7:30. She made her coffee. She started, as she always did on a Saturday, with the upstairs offices. At 7:45, she came back downstairs to vacuum the vault corridor. She noticed the vault door. It was open, not wide, by approximately 15 centimeters. This had never, in 16 years, happened. She walked towards the door. She put her hand on the steel and pushed. The door swung inwards. The lights inside the vault were on. The motion-activated lighting had been triggered by the men climbing through the hole 53 hours earlier and had never quite gone off. What Brigitte Holzmann saw was 214 safety deposit box compartments hanging open along the walls, paper and velvet bags scattered across the floor, and a circular hole through the back wall of the vault large enough for a grown man to walk through. Brigitte Holzmann, in an interview with Westdeutsche Allgemeine Zeitung on January 5, 2026,
I just thought somebody forgot to close the door. Then I saw the wall, and I sat down on the floor.
She did not stand up for almost 20 minutes. She called the regional Sparkasse manager. He called the police. By the end of December 27th, every major news organization in Germany was reporting the largest non-violent bank robbery in the country's post-war history. By the press conference that the BKA would hold 12 days later, what every German would know was that the police had no idea who had done it. The Federal Criminal Police Office investigation was assigned to Senior Detective Inspector Werner Schultz, a 28-year veteran of organized crime cases. His team did what every police force in Europe would have done. They examined the storefront, the vault, the hole, and the slurry of concrete dust the crew had dumped in a public skip behind the Hauptstrasse bakery. They found no fingerprints. They found no DNA. They found no footprints. They found no surviving CCTV footage. The internal server had been remotely spoofed, then physically destroyed by the crew on their way out. They traced the Hilti drill bit fragment to the Zagreb auction. The trail ended at the phantom Hungarian firm. They interviewed Marcus Wagner's landlord. The landlord remembered an average-looking German man in his 40s who paid in cash and was polite. That description fit, by Schultz's own remark to Bild in February, approximately 14 million Germans. They cross-referenced the operation against the Pink Panthers, the loosely organized Serbian and Montenegrin network responsible for the largest precision heists in modern European criminal history. The technique matched, the methodology matched, the discipline matched. But the BKA could not prove a single connection. Senior Detective Inspector Werner Schultz, in his press conference on January 8, 2026.
We have evidence of professional planning, professional execution, and professional cleanup. We do not have suspects. We do not have leads.
By the end of February, the case had moved out of the headlines. What it had not moved out of was the security policy of the largest banking network in Europe. On January 9, 2026, one day after the BKA press conference, the Sparkasse Finance Group convened an emergency security review in Berlin. By the end of February, BaFin, the German federal banking regulator, had issued a binding directive to every commercial bank in the Federal Republic. 5 new requirements, all 5 written specifically because of Gelsenkirchen. Mandatory live human monitoring inside every branch during the Christmas closure. Adjacent building inspection required before any commercial lease within 50 meters of a bank vault. Internal CCTV servers physically air-gapped from external networks. Seismic and acoustic sensors mounted inside every face of every vault wall. The Frankfurt Central Monitoring Center required to maintain live operators 24 hours a day, including federal holidays. Implementation cost across the German banking sector approximately 185 million euros. Klaus Reichmann, testifying before the German Bundestag in March 2026.
For 63 years, we believed our walls were enough. We were wrong.
By October 2026, the European Central Bank had issued a parallel advisory recommending the same 5 protocols across the Eurozone. One Christmas Eve operation had, within 12 months, rewritten the security playbook for approximately 7,000 commercial banks across the European Union. What the rewritten playbook had not done was bring back any of the 30 million euros. The Gelsenkirchen heist remains, as of June 2026, unsolved. The statute of limitations for aggravated theft in Germany is 30 years. The case will remain open until December 2055. The BKA's Operation Weihnachtsfrieden, Christmas Peace, has a permanent budget of 4.2 million euros, 24 assigned federal agents, and no active suspects. Of the 214 safety deposit boxes emptied, only 47 owners ever filed formal claims. The remaining 167 owners have remained silent. An anonymous Frankfurt lawyer to Der Spiegel in January 2026, "Many of my clients prefer to lose the contents of their boxes than to explain what was in them. The thieves understood this perfectly." The 30 million figure is, by every independent estimate, an undercount. Some run as high as 80 million. Not a single gold ingot has surfaced on any European bullion exchange. Not a single diamond on any cut-stone register. Not a single bond at any clearinghouse. The crew, by every visible indication, has either retained the entire haul or moved it through a fencing network the BKA has been unable to identify. The Sparkasse Gelsenkirchen Buer branch reopened on April 12, 2026. The vault wall was rebuilt, 90 centimeters of reinforced concrete, carbon fiber mesh, seismic sensors. The adjacent storefront on Hauptstrasse is now owned by Sparkasse itself. It has been turned into a public-facing cafe. The cameras inside it run 24 hours a day. They did not fire a shot. They did not raise their voice. They did not touch a single employee. They just drilled through a wall for one Christmas weekend, until Germany's largest banking network rewrote its own rules.